Directed by Kevin Costner, this is a passion project of the star that he co-wrote with John Bird, and it's based on an original story, but draws from the films of the Western genre that Costner clearly loves. Planned out to be 4 films, the epic tale will take a look at the settlement of Horizon, a community founded in 1859 at the San Pedro Valley, with the idea that being over the 4 films will follow the lives of multiple characters of this settlement throughout a 12-year period. In addition, the aim is to explore the impact that these pioneers of the West had on the Native American communities as their land is stolen from them. Whether we get to see the whole ambitious project of 4 films play out is uncertain right now, with this first entry having made no impact on initial release, resulting in the second part being postponed and the future of the series being in doubt. And that's a shame, as this is a film that is flawed by not feeling like a complete film. Opening with 2 pioneers marking out land either side of a river, Horizon then shifts some time forward where a missionary named Desmarais finds the small settlement and its occupants massacred at the hands of an Apache warband, before he buries their bodies and founds the town of Horizon. From that point, the film jumps ahead again to the slowly growing community, which is still seeing attacks by war parties trying to reclaim their land, and the community calling on a nearby army encampment for aid. At the same time, there's additional dramas playing out throughout the town, such as a woman named Lucy who fled her Montana home to the safety of Horizon, bringing along additional troubles in the guise of those chasing her down for an alleged murder of James Sykes. Costner enters the story as Hayes Ellison, finding himself embroiled in drama as he finds himself taking care of a prostitute named Marigold and the child she cares for. And all through this, tensions are mounting against the various Native American tribes, and the onset of civil war threatens the safety of Horizon if the nearby fort ends up abandoned. There is a lot going on in Horizon, but none of it gets to play out in full. Being the first chapter in the story, it feels like a pilot episode of a TV show, laying down the groundwork for the events that are yet to come, and whilst it does have some thrilling and shocking moments, the fact it isn't complete makes the 3-hour journey almost seem pointless on its own merits. But that's not to say it's not good. Indeed, this passion project clearly shows how much love Costner has for the genre, and particularly the historical aspect of the era that it's set. The period detail is stunningly sumptuous, and you really do get a sense of the reason that the West that the pioneers were pushed into was given the description of wild. This is an almost lawless society where only perseverance and hope and the general assumed good nature of most folk will get you through. It's also a place where those with hate in their hearts can use and manipulate others without fear of repercussions. Costner's Hayes is a seemingly honourable figure, almost an observer at times, but he appears to be carrying a heavy weight of guilt for past indiscretions throughout, as though his actions here are some way of penance for his past crimes. Throw in mounting tensions against the native tribes, highlighting that even though the different elders had different views on integration with the White Eyes, they were all seen with equal animosity by the settlers, and the seeds are sown for what will hopefully get a chance to play out over 3 more films. This is all set up, delivered with a depth of story and character, shot beautifully, and cast with a stunning array of names. Horizon, as a film, is as ambitious as the settlement it is based around, and I certainly hope Costner wins his fight to get this whole saga made. Maybe it was too ambitious for a movie series and would have sat better and been more warmly embraced by audiences as a multi-part TV series, but as it currently stands, Chapter 1 is an incomplete but marvellously presented love letter to the Western. You have to admire the ambition of a film like Megalopolis, right from the concept to the development to the final execution of a passion project for a director funded out of his own pocket, which decades of energy and creativity have been channeled through. However, just because you have to admire it doesn't mean you have to enjoy it. And boy, I did not connect with this one. Plot-wise, the idea behind the film is an ambitious future-set sci-fi fable, drawing parallels between the fall of the Roman Empire and a future USA, which writer and director Francis Ford Coppola wishes to warn us about. Set in a near-future New York City, a corrupt mayor finds himself confronted by a visionary architect named Caesar, who has developed a new building material which will allow for a more sustainable moulding of the city, more in tune with nature itself. But in doing so, this will heavily impact on the more traditional industries, and Caesar sees threats from various parties as he rises in prominence, with heavy parallels being drawn from the Catilinarian conspiracy of 63 BC. The resulting plot is a fever dream history lesson on some wild medication, packaged together in a winding and somewhat incoherently edited manner, and acted out with all the gusto of a Shakespeare in the Park amateur dramatics exercise. Full of a sense of its own self-importance, this passion project from Coppola, which has gestated over the past 4 decades, feels like all the importance and suggested portents it is desperately trying to convey have become somewhat muddied along the way in an attempt to try to stay relevant to the progress of modern society. And the resultant heavy-handed bludgeoning of ideas bogs down the themes too much to allow us to actually care for anyone or anything within it. Adam Driver, in the central role of Caesar, I suspect is supposed to be someone we're to root for, with his pioneering vision and his unexplained ability to freeze time, but he just comes over as cold and distant and somewhat unlikable himself. The fact we don't really get any understanding of what makes this new material he created so good for the future of society means that, to all intents and purposes, it could very well be the worst idea. And the fact that it looks like an awful idea of a future urban plan doesn't help. The nature-themed leaves and branches looked so unappealing that I was actually rooting for the concrete and steel industries to win out. Now, that's not to say that the film itself looks bad. Indeed, visually, this is superbly creative, with a New York that looks like it's from the 20th century, only with Roman undertones, including a gladiatorial arena with chariot races and old-fashioned fighting. The fashions themselves are modern riffs on ancient designs, and even the aforementioned new plant-like architecture does look visibly superb, even if it looks like my idea of hell on earth. The cast all sparkle in these environs and pageantry that they inhabit, but they're sadly let down by the trite dialogue they are spewing forth, which never lands with any success. Some fare better than others. Aubrey Plaza, delivering a scene-stealing role as a TV presenter with ambition, stands out amazingly. But those who miss the mark are many, including and especially Shia LaBeouf as Clodio, Caesar's jealous cousin, who is just an annoyance of overplaying. Names such as Jon Voight, Jason Schwartzman, Dustin Hoffman, and Talia Shire grace the screen, but leave little to no lasting impact. Giancarlo Esposito, as the corrupt mayor, simply plays the same role that he appears everywhere else in, whilst Driver and Natalie Emmanuel lack any chemistry to allow us to be convinced of any possibility of a burgeoning relationship between the pair. This is a muddled mess, where any ideas of what it was intending to do appears to be lost somewhere down the line. At times, it reminded me of Southland Tales for all the wrong reasons, but at least that film had a 3-part graphic novel series that prologued the events of the film itself, allowing for those scant few of us who actually read it to actually understand what was going on. Here, we can only guess at the past events that have led to where the film starts, and to be honest, I found myself swiftly not actually caring. Ambitious, and I am pleased to see that Coppola has fulfilled an almost lifelong vision. I can only hope that he is happy with the end product and glad to have shared it with the world, because that alone makes any art worthwhile. But sadly, for me, this just didn't work. It left me pretty confused as to whether the utopian future it was suggesting at the end was actually a good thing or a bad thing.